Well, good morning everyone, and thank you for tuning in. So for today's video, I'm going to do a little bit of discussion on my KwikWay Master Head Shop. And the KwikWay Master Head Shop is just a older style seat and guide machine that uses an air floating fixture. So these are mostly obsolete machines these days, as all our newer equipment that we buy works totally different, and they actually work a lot faster, and there's a lot of features about them that just make them much better machines to remanufacture cylinder heads with, especially on a production level. Not a very busy shop yet, so taking the extra time to get a valve job done or deal with seats and guides on this machine is still okay with me. I spent many years in other engine shops running far better retooling than this, and believe me, I miss having, let's say, like a 3.1 Millennium at my disposal, but I can't afford one yet, and I still have quite a few other machines that I need more than just upgrading this. So we're going to carry on with this bad boy for a little while. So to the point, this video mostly is to answer a subscriber's question. PowerPlay Engine was curious on how I mount my cylinder heads to my fixture. Now, through watching PowerPlay Engine's videos, as I am one of his subscribers, he also has an older style seat and guide machine, just like me. He's got a different model, same concept though. And I noticed that his fixture is different than mine. So, you know, with the various machines and fixtures that we have for these machines, there is probably dozens and dozens of different ways to mount cylinder heads to our fixtures. So I'm going to show it off a little bit so he can see what's going on here. And people always show up when I'm recording. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we're back. I think I was talking about how there is just dozens and dozens of ways to mount cylinder heads to these fixtures. So I'm just going to take a peruse on through to my fixture, give some footage on it so that they can see exactly how I'm doing my setups, or some of my setups, and maybe give some ideas to those who either have machines or are trying to figure out a way they can manipulate cylinder heads on whatever existing machine they have, even if it may be just a pillar drill. Because in the end, that's pretty much all this machine is just a pillar drill press. Of course, we got a larger bed here, and we have a very skookum geared head on this machine. So there is no change pulleys, not that I have any issues with them. My Bridgeport has change pulleys, and you know, just a very robust machine. A handful of speeds to select from: 2, 4, 6, 8 speeds, all just by changing knobs. It makes it quite nice to work. So before we get into the fixture, we're just going to raise this head up, get it out of the way. As you can see, this thing is going to raise up quite high. We got a lot of working area under the spindle on this machine. We don't yank on all my wires here. So I'm sure it goes higher than that, but I think you get the point. It goes quite a ways up there. And now we can get discussing about this fixture. So I'm going to bring it out towards the edge so I got some more room to work. Under here we have a foot pedal, and this is what this is. There's a valve in here, and it applies air pressure to under the table here. And this is a nice flat surface here, and when you push this pedal, this whole fixture actually rides on a cushion of air. So just push this pedal, and this thing just moves nice and easily, just like that. So I'm going to pull this out of the way here, and this fixture is a rollover fixture. It's a big bulky unit. It takes up quite a bit of space, so if one was to gather one of these to put on their milling machine, you would definitely need a riser to have any clearance to work on anything. And we have a crank wheel here, and we can completely roll over cylinder heads. So depending what operation I'm working on ahead, does depend on how I am going to clamp it. So for this operation on these heads, I was drilling steam holes, which was in probably my last video. I'm assuming this will be the next one I upload. So I had it clamped down like such, so that I could come in here, do my work on the top, and then angle my head to the anywhere between 20 and 30 degrees to do the angled steam holes. And is what Power Play Engines was curious on, is how I had this clamped. So we'll just roll this over all the way like this, and I'll expose my clamps. So basically it's just some threaded rod going through the head, and on the back side I made these little blocks. I got, you know, 5 notches here for we can move this lock here to, you know, so we can move the head around where we need to and it locks in. I made the blocks stepped so that they're not sliding around ever, and that they're always going to be in line with each other. So if I just release these clamps, and we'll unthread it from the bottom here. This is basically all the pieces of this clamping system in particular. I have a couple different clamping systems. The previous owner made their own thing. They're actually pretty crappy. He must have had a severe lack of tooling. And there's a factory one which is missing pieces, and I used to run one of these many years ago. I kind of forget how the factory setup worked, but this is what I came up with. This way here it locks in, and it's been very stout. I have nicked here a couple of times. I need to set this up on my milling machine and, I don't know, take off a 1/16 or maybe even an 1/8 off the sides here. I made them a little too bulky for some of my tooling. So I'm just going to remove this head here, because this is a nice product here. We don't want to mangle up. And I'm just going to grab this random small block Chevy head here, just because it was sitting there laying around. So depending what I'm doing, I would set this up like this, and I would grab my blocks, reach under here, run this through whatever hole that I need to clamp that down. So when I got a head set up like this, there's a handful of operations I can do with this. You get this leveled out. It's pretty basic. We would just grab a pilot. We're not going to get too into detail, but whatever one fits best. We've got a level, and basically you would just level this head out. So to do that way, we would just crank the hand wheel, level it out. We're not going to fully level it out because I don't have it clamped down, and if you happen to see my video from yesterday, you see that I completely wrecked the level. Luckily it was a cheap one, but yeah, not paying attention. And once you get that close, you could lock this here, and there's a fine adjust here, which I don't know if we're going to be able to catch this, but you know, it slowly moves that cradle to get a fine adjustment on it. For working on this plane here, we got 2 locks, 1 and 2, and then we have a complete adjuster here, and there's a pivot point right here, and this is how we adjust that plane. Make sure some stuff's locked. So in a setup like this, if we were all leveled in nice and good, we could come in here, we could do valve jobs. I could cut the seats out if I have to replace seats for whatever reason. Here's a seat cutting tool. Now for installing a seat, I would not pound it in on this fixture, because if you look, this rail is held on by underneath. This is all cast. If you look in there, it's not very thick. I would not want to risk breaking this tool, because then I am up shit's creek. So I would cut out all my seats, take this off my fixture, go to a hard bench. I actually typically just work on the floor. The floor doesn't vibrate or move at all, so I usually just bring it on the floor, pound my seats in, go back up on here. Now you could come in here and do a valve job. And if I was going to do a valve job on this, you know, these don't look like they're completely beat up. I could most likely just set this head up like this to do a valve job. So now just coming in doing a valve job like so is, I don't know, what I would call just a quick and dirty valve job. There's nothing really wrong with it, but we're not getting into some of the details that you could or should be performing when you're doing a cylinder head reconditioning like so. One of them is we have something called install heights to deal with. So when you have a valve sitting in here, we actually have distances we have to follow from the tip of the valve to the spring seat, and we call those install heights. Some people call that an assembled height as well, but if you go by our ARA books or our process online, they call it an install height. Assembled height is usually what we call the distance between the retainer and the seat. Minor details, don't worry about it. We tend to know what you're talking about even if you say the wrong thing. It's like core plug, frost plug, expansion plug, Welsh plug. I know what you mean, I don't care what you call it. Okay, back on the topic. So knowing that we have heights to follow here, when the cylinder head is like such, and I stick a valve in here, I don't really have any room to get in there and measure. And here's a tool I have for measuring. It's a dial indicator on, I'll just call this an aluminum tube. I'm having so many problems with my recording equipment these days. I'm working on a GoPro Hero 7. This has been the most problematic camera I've ever owned, and it just keeps shutting off on me. So these edits might be a little funky, sorry guys. Back to some discussion. So the problem I have is when I'm down in here, the tools I possess don't fit. I can't get up in there and take a measurement. And if I were to take a measurement, it would look something very similar to this. We would just go over there and take our measurement. Now, we know what height this should be, so we would take a standard and set our gauge to that standard. And, you know, now I can go over there and take a measurement. And as I cut down on that seat, this is going to protrude further. Or if I put seats in there, this would be way up too high, and we'd have to machine it down to get to our desired height. But since I don't have the room to go under there and measure, and that is kind of important information, so what I do is we just loosen up our fixture, and I actually just roll this right over like so. And now I can place the head up high, and I've got plenty of room to come under here and do any measuring that I need to do. Now I could also set the head up like this in that orientation, and sitting up like this allows me to come up here and do guide or stud boss modifications. Hey, come on, just come hang out here. So we have little tools like this. They come in various diameters. This one's a 1/2 inch diameter, and what this will do is this will pilot itself on the ID of the guide. And we got 2 carbide cutters here, and then we have another one right up in there. And what this will do is you get this lined up. You can even do this with a hand drill. Is when this spins around, we'll even put a mark because I'm going to end up cutting these heads anyways. So as this thing spins around, I don't know if we can see the little mark I made, but it'll basically turn down this OD to whatever size you have. So I have 1/2 inch, I have 0.530, I got 0.560, and that's how we go in here and modify this for a press-on seal, or if we had too much or not enough clearance from seal guide to retainer, we could machine that down a little bit so that during our valve travels we're not contacting anything. We also got various tooling like this where we can come and make seat modifications for the spring seat. So this is something that's going to fit. We could come in here again, it just pilots off there, and we could open this up for a bigger diameter spring. Small block Chevy typically takes 1.25 inch spring, and there's lots of aftermarket springs that are like 1.45, 1.48, 1.5. What's this one here? 1.44. So we can come in here and modify these for different springs. We can modify the depth, lots of things to do. For rocker stud modifications, common thing is to yank these studs out and maybe thread that for a screw-in stud. I'm not a big fan of those unless they have a hex head in there that you can actually you know, put a torque value on there. So we would set the head up like this to do those. You know, here's one of the tools I have for this. This one's kind of a neat one. This one's from Good Sun Manufacturing, and without this pilot in here, if you remove this pilot, there is actually a stop inside here that you can set. This tool is designed to cut the guide boss down with the stud still in place. So if we were going to do like a screw-in stud like this and a guide plate, you couldn't just drill and tap that. You not only got to machine the face flat for your guide plate to sit on, but all this added up stacking material, you'd end up contacting your rocker arm. Your rocker arm would probably contact right about here. And so we actually typically remove, I don't know, whatever the thickness is here, 200 to 300 thou. Everyone's kind of got their magic numbers. I'll actually set it up on the engine and figure out exactly what I need removed before I do any cutting. So this tool, this will slide right over that stud and machine out the top of this boss here to the depth I want, which will reduce how much of this shank is pressed in there, and it makes these easier to pull out, because sometimes these things don't come out all that easy, and sometimes they do. We got special tools for that. This place is a mess. So those are one of the modifications we can do there. So the drill head's pretty basic. Let's bring this back down to some eye level here for me. We got our speeds, pretty simple. Here's the RPM, and here's the knob positions. So if we look here, we're all kind of right here like this, and if we went by our little legend here, that tells me that's 140 RPM. We have a start switch here, so right now it's on, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to do anything. Right, so nothing's going to happen right now until we actually hit start. So even though we hit start, the spindle's not turning, and that's because there is a switch somewhere either in here or in here that lets the drill motor know that the spindle quill is all the way up to the top. As soon as you start lowering it, it turns on. Now technically this machine only spins in a clockwise direction, but there is an exception. If we go over here to our tapping function, it still spins clockwise, but there's a switch right here, and you're going to set with this adjustable stop here. I got to set really tight just to show in the video. As you're tapping, as you come down, as soon as this stop contacts that switch in there, we just banged into reverse. So let's see if we can do that again. So forward, reverse. So that makes it nice for tapping. Another customer. I'll be back again. Okay, that was a quick one. Yeah, that was my customer, but he's actually here to see my neighbor, Richard at Hardcore Holly, our local Holly carburetor remanufacturer and tuner. Good guy to know if you're in the lower mainland area. So that's pretty much all I got to say about that. It doesn't really do a whole lot more. I'm hoping that Power Play Engines, you've seen what you need to see. You got some info you needed. Yeah, just ask any questions. And other than that, I guess I better get to the work, because this whole video, I didn't do any work this time. Usually my videos I'm actually doing some work, and I don't know, I've probably monkeyed around for over an hour today not doing work. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.